Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast. And it's that time of year again. It's that time of year to add some physical media to your personal collection, and that is what I have done. Now our addendum video, our update tonight, is part of an accumulation over time, because I'm consistently adding to my physical media collection little by little throughout the course of the year, but it accumulates. And I've accumulated way too many, and I'm way too far behind in this playlist. There's a bunch of movies I've purchased throughout the last year and a half or so, actually. So even in my last, when I did my last update ages ago, I was behind when I did that update. So I'm even more behind now. So hopefully I'll add a few more of these videos in the next few months to try to catch up. So our little batch of films tonight are a nice variety from some different countries and regions. A handful of these I have reviewed on my channel already, either in separate videos or in playlists, so I'll let you know that. Most of these are American DVDs. Don't judge me. Remember, the types of movies I collect sometimes aren't even available on Blu-ray, and if they are, you might have to pay for a Korean or a Japanese Blu-ray, which is just exorbitant in price. So I tend to go on the streak of getting maybe DVDs at discount prices just to have the films in my collection. So let's get rolling here. Let's start with the first one. This is a good one. It's a big one. Stephen Chow, From Beijing with Love. This is one of his best films, in my opinion. You know, it's basically a 007 James Bond kind of spoof film, but it has a lot of really good humor to it. Has some significant tonal shifts. And there's some scenes in this that are actually kind of like slightly disturbing, I think. But it's one of his best. This is in my top 5 Stephen Chow films from what I've seen. And Anita Yuen is the supporting actress, is phenomenal in this. She's hilarious. There's a scene with her trying to kill Stephen Chow, and she continually fails to do so. It's almost like he plays almost like a Jacques Clouseau type guy, where he just kind of falls into solving stuff or getting out of bad situations like by mistake, even though he's kind of a moron. So this is good stuff. If you have not seen this, you absolutely need to watch From Beijing with Love. And I do have a review of that on my channel, so if you want to see my review of it, check it out. Another film that I reviewed on my channel, The World Zhang Ki Jaa. This is a mainland Chinese film. And yeah, this film is kind of unique. It's an art house film, as I said in my review, but it takes place in like a world park that's in China, where you go into this park and there's different areas that are kind of replicas of different cities or places around the world. So it's kind of interesting, hence The World. And this film really does a nice job of kind of keeping you engaged in the little interactions. Our main character here is a woman who's kind of going through some, I guess, romantic difficulties with a few people, which is kind of interesting. And she encounters and interacts with various people in this park, which is actually a real park in real life. So this actually has a video interview with film critic Jonathan Rosenbaum, a theatrical trailer, on-set photo gallery, including rare shots of the director, Zhang Ki Jaa, character sketches, an essay on the real-world park, production notes. Yeah, so it's got some pretty good special features. I don't think From Beijing with Love didn't have any special features. So yeah, if you're a fan of like slower-paced art house films in really unique locations, this is one to check out. And Jaa is one of the premier mainland Chinese directors for this type of film. I mean, his films are pretty good quality overall, and the critics love them, and they do very well in the festival circuits. And I really like the artwork on this. It's very nice, very nice looking, just like the film is very nice looking. So if you're into this type of thing, check it out. Another film I reviewed on my channel. See, when I watch good stuff, I tell you, I don't hold anything away from you. And this one was way better than I was expecting. Yes, Enter the Fat Dragon with Donnie Yen. This just came out this year, at least on physical media. And Again, this one's the American release. If I don't tell you what release it is, just assume it's the American DVD release. And this one doesn't really have special features on it, but Donnie Yen, he basically wears kind of a chubby suit, and he plays a dude who is, he ends up gaining some weight after some professional and personal problems, but he has to take down some bad guys. And it's kind of set in Japan, but I think they were using sets most of the time, but the sets look phenomenal. So it's a pretty cool flick to watch aesthetically, and the fights are actually solid in this movie. They're actually pretty fun. They're kind of high impact, surprisingly high impact for an action comedy. And Donnie does a good job with the comedy bits too, believe it or not. He's pretty funny. So yes, this was way more entertaining than I thought it would be, and I will definitely be watching this again. I'm glad I have it in my collection. And the related film, of course, Enter the Fat Dragon with Sammo Hung. This one was from way back in the day. I think it came out in the 70s or early 80s, and it's one of those flicks that it was remade technically with the Donnie Yen film, but practically they're completely different films. So if they didn't have the same names, you wouldn't even know that they were related to one another. So this one, obviously Samo, it's nice to watch him in his prime, fighting and doing some comedy bits. But I gotta say, this film, I've seen it twice. It doesn't reach that level of like classic for me. This to me isn't like a classic kung fu martial arts film that everyone has to see, no matter what. It's not like Drunken Master or Heroes of the East or something like that. It's good. It's got some good fighting. The plot's pretty good, but there's something about it that doesn't reach that next level for me. So I actually enjoy the Donnie Yen version more. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not, but I do. I think it has a little bit more energy and impact in terms of its entertainment value. But the original Sammo Hung film, check it out. It's pretty good. Alright, our next few purchases are Jet Li films. Now, this next purchase was kind of a panic purchase for me, because, months ago I did that collaboration with That Fat Samurai guy, and we went through Jet Li's entire filmography in one video. It's like a 2.5-hour video. It's on my channel. And check it out if you haven't already. Just search Jet Li filmography on my channel. And we just went through, it was a fantastic video where we go through his whole filmography. But I wanted to rewatch some of his films, do like a fast run before we filmed it. And I had not seen these films in a while, so I had to find them, and they weren't available on a legitimate streaming site. And these are some of his big time films, so I'm like, crap. So I had to get expedited shipping on eBay for the DVD set, just so I could rewatch them and refresh my mind. The Once Upon a Time in China trilogy. Oh yeah. This is Jet Li, the period piece action dramas. Very nice. The first two films are solid. The third one, if you want my thoughts on these, check out that Jet Li filmography collaboration with That Fat Samurai guy, and definitely subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. But the second film has an elite fight scene with Donnie Yen and Jet Li. And the first film, the finale of the first film, involving the ladder fight, is ridiculous. So, and these films actually do have some pretty good storylines to them as well. So, definitely worth checking out. No special features on this triple pack, but it's I think you could probably get this pretty cheap now. I think I bought it cheap. Another Donnie Yen one, or Jet Li one, I should say. Meltdown, also known as High Risk. This is basically his Die Hard ripoff. This one has... I love it how they put special features, aspect ratio, widescreen presentation, subtitles. Those aren't special features, dude. But they do have director and cast filmographies, trailer gallery, photo gallery with Jet Li trivia, and that's about it. But yeah, this is Jet Li's Die Hard ripoff. He's in a building. It's Jet Li in a building fighting terrorists. Entertaining schlock. Or not schlock, but I would say action trash. you know. Lots of action in it, fast-paced. The only thing, and I forgot to mention this in our collaboration, is that I really enjoy the film, but if you're looking for Jet Li in martial arts sequences, you're not going to get that as much in this. He does other types of action, like he'll drive a car in the building or shoot at guys. So if you're looking for that traditional Jet Li martial arts action, you might come away disappointed in this. Because really the best fight in the film is between Billy Chow and Jackie Chung, which is it's a good fight, and you wouldn't expect Jackie Chung to be involved in like the best martial arts fight in an action but he does, and it's good. But they upstage Jet Li in his own film really with that fight. But again, Jet has a lot of screen time. He's mixing it up with the bad guys, and I think this is entertaining stuff. This is one that I will watch on a regular basis. It's just, I don't know, it's just easy to sit through, you know? Got our last Jet Li movie here for this purchase segment. Black Mask. It's just more action trash. Now this one is the Region 3 release, the Cantonese release, because I wanted to have the original, I guess you could say, Cantonese track, audio track. The, you know, because this has got good actors in it. You got Jet Li, Karen Mok, and Lau Ching-wan. And a bad guy who looks like Ozzy Osbourne. But, yeah, when you get those three actors, I want to hear their voices most of the time. And this Cantonese Region 3 release does have that. Soundtrack isn't that much better than the American version, which had like a lot of that hip-hop type stuff in it. I don't actually mind it that much in that film for some reason. But, yeah, but this, I do prefer this just for like the Cantonese track. And you have Jet Li, he's like kind of like a universal soldier type guy, like genetically engineered to be a super assassin, and he fights other genetically engineered super assassins. Fast-paced, action trash. Again, I'll watch this in Meltdown as a double feature. It happens. It happens. No special features. Alright, now we go to another Hong Kong film that on the other end of the spectrum. Dog Bite Dog, the Dragon Dynasty American release. Yeah. Again, I have a review of this. So if you want reviews of all the Jet Li films, you check out the Jet Li filmography review. I have a review of this in a separate video. And I reviewed this not too long ago. This is like a 2006 film that was a callback to the Category 3 films from the early 90s. And it delivers pretty well. It's a nasty film. It's pessimistic, depressing, violent, and it's a very nice action thriller if you want that type of thing. And this release, I just purchased this release not too long ago, and it actually has some pretty solid special features here. You get a feature-length audio commentary, which I haven't listened to yet, by Edison Chen, the lead actor, and Bei Logan, which I gotta listen to that. Then you get a second disc with special features. In-depth behind-the-scenes look at the making of the film, an interview with Edison Chen, interview with Sam Lee, an interview with the director, Chung Po-soi, who, I butchered his name, but he does some good stuff. And an interview with Lam Suet, who you've seen in a million Hong Kong movies. So, yeah, this is, again, check out my review if you want more info. This is a pretty good, violent action thriller. It's good stuff. Alright, we only have 2 left in the Hong Kong, China section of this video. The next 2 are mainland films. And I reviewed both of them on my channel. Shanghai Triad, Zhang Yimou. And it's, I think it's one of his lesser known and appreciated films from his heyday, I guess you could say, from the 90s. And it's very, very interesting. It's basically like a gang film, but it's different from a typical Triad film. You know, you get Gong Li in the lead role here, and she's a singer. She's dating one of the big-time Triad bosses. And this little kid comes into town who's kind of distantly related to the boss. And he's trying to, he's basically catering to the singer's needs. And some bad stuff happens with rival gangs and all kinds of stuff here. Not an action film, it's a drama, but it's phenomenally shot. All of Zhang's films look great. And Gong Li's really good in the lead role. I think it's really interesting and an entertaining film. Now this has some trailers, talent files, and production notes. Not much in special features, but it's worth checking out if you're, most of this director's films are worth checking out, especially the stuff from the 90s and early 2000s. Although he has made a few good things in recent years. Like Shadow, right? And then to round out this section of the video, we have Long Day's Journey into Night, a film by Bigan. And this is another kind of up-and-coming director who kind of reminds me a little bit of Zhang Ki Jaa in terms of, kind of the way he kind of makes an impression on the festival circuits, and the critics love him. Obviously, very different style of director. This guy, especially this film in particular, with Tang Wei as the lead, of course, that's the first reason I watched it, is it visually it's just phenomenal. Like, very slick, very visually engaging. Again, check out my review. Some viewers may not like this type of film, but if you're into kind of the slower paced art house stuff, you gotta check it out. You know what I mean? You really do. And it bonus features are interview with the director, making of documentary, and an interview with the male lead. So yeah, I'm glad I have this in my collection. There's something about this movie that I know I'm gonna want to rewatch. It's kind of like Shanghai Triad. I like a lot of Zhang's films, but I don't have a lot of them in my collection for some reason. I only have like a select number of them, the ones that I know I'll rewatch. Same with this guy. This is his second film, I believe. His first film was good, but not good enough, I don't think, to include in my collection. This one I know I'll rewatch on a regular basis. Now we get to, if you're getting a little antsy because I'm covering some art house stuff, don't worry, because I got some Indonesian action flicks coming at you. The Raid Collection. Oh yes, I already have these movies on DVD, but I'm fine with DVD quality. I know that's a bad thing to say for some people, but I am fine with it. But sometimes I do like to upgrade, especially in regard to movies that are like my all-time favorites. I'll probably upgrade to Blu-ray. But if you ask me to upgrade all of my DVDs to Blu-ray, number one, a lot of them don't have Blu-ray releases. Number two, if I have to spend a Blu-ray on a Blu-ray from Japan or South Korea, I'll go broke. I'll have to file bankruptcy. so just explaining myself here. But the Raid films are just two of the best action films of all time. Iko Uwais in the lead role, Gareth Evans directing. When I saw The Raid, there's a video on my channel where I talk about Gareth Evans, the director, his career, and these movies with Corey from Pieces of Work, or formerly Pieces of Work. So look for that on my channel. It's Gareth Evans discussion. So technically I did review these on my channel, even though they're not in a separate video. But yes, when I first saw The Raid, I already knew about Iko and Gareth Evans, because I saw Marantau like a year before this came out in 2011. And when this came out, I really became a huge fan. So it was nice to be kind of on the front end of that trend. So this has some pretty good special features I'm looking forward to. You have 7 featurettes on stunts for The Raid, behind the music and making of, An Evening with Gareth Evans, Mike Shinoda and Joe Trapanese, filmmaker video blogs, and a director commentary, and more. Now, is this director commentary for the whole film? Because I would really like to hear that. I haven't heard the director commentary for the entire film. I've heard clips of it on YouTube, so I'm looking forward to that. And then The Raid 2 is in here. You get a director commentary for that. Shooting a sequel featurette, a Q&A with the director, Iko Uwais and Joe Trapanese, and more. So yeah, this is a nice Blu-ray release, the US release. And you get both films. Of course, The Raid, Redemption, unrated edition, which, whatever. I think all the violence was in the theatrical cut anyway. And then The Raid 2, which I saw 10 times in the theater. Yes, I saw the Raid 2 10 times in the movie theaters. I happened to be like near New York City on business. The weekend the Raid 2 came out, and I'm just like, screw it. I just stayed the weekend, made a vacation out of it, and kind of watched the Raid like 8 times. And then I saw it 2 more times when it was released in my hometown. So yeah, I don't mess around with these movies, man. So if you haven't seen these, even if you don't like action movies, watch them. Some people usually prefer either the first or the second film. Some people prefer the second because it has more story. Some people prefer the first because it doesn't screw around with story. I like them both basically equally, really. They're both phenomenal. Another big one, and this is a very good purchase. The Night Comes for Us. Another Indonesian action flick. Now you're probably wondering how I have a copy of this. Is it a bootleg? Usually Netflix movies, sometimes you can't buy them on physical media. This one is available on a website called Stinky Tuna in the United States. They do, for some reason, they found a loophole to be able to release some Netflix movies on Blu-ray. And I'm not sure how. It must be legit, because they've been around for a little while now. Everybody, or a lot of people know about them, and Netflix hasn't shut them down. So there's got to be some legitimacy to these releases. But yeah, The Night Comes for Us is, I think it's maybe not quite as great as the Raid movies, but it's real close. It's up there. You know, this is a triple feature evening. You watch the Raid films and you watch this, it's going to be like just a phenomenal experience. This one's got Joey Taslim in the lead role, and Iko has a supporting role. You get Julia Stell in it again, and some other guys. This, check out my review of it. I reviewed it, of course, if you want more information. This is a must-watch. And, you know, take the opportunity to add it to your collection now, because who knows how long this Stinky Tuna place is going to be around, or how long this is going to be available. All right, let's move to the Korean films. I got a small batch in this. A lot of the purchases I've made this year have been Japanese films, and actually Italian films, which, you know, I'll probably never cut. Well, eventually maybe I'll show my other movie collection. If you're interested in that, let me know. I might do like some bonus videos on my like English language and European films, which I have some. So let me know if you want me to do that at some point. But most of my purchases this year were Japanese films, and then I mixed in some Hong Kong, Chinese, and Korean and other stuff. So the Korean sections of these videos will be smaller than some of the others. Spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring. Kim Kidok. I reviewed this on my channel. Again, I was missing this in my collection because I think first time I saw it, I didn't appreciate it as much as some of his other fantastic films from the 2000s. But then I watched it again, and I'm like, man, this is really good. It's really good. It's, you know, it basically takes place, you know, this elder monk and a younger kid monk who live on this little tiny, almost platform in the middle of a pond, or like a small lake. And people float out there to seek guidance or whatever. And it shows the different stages of this kid's life based on different seasons of the year. So it's pretty neat, and it's kind of it has kind of a coming of age vibe to it. You get the feeling like you experience somebody's entire life in this, you know, 2-hour flick. So it's very cool. Check out my review for more info. Not much in terms of special features on this American DVD release, though, but I'm glad I have it. Now our next 3 films were all Malaysian release pickups. And a lot of times I will pick up Korean films on Malaysian DVD because, number one, they're all region, and number two, sometimes they come out either before Korean films release on DVD and Blu-ray, or after the Korean films are out of print. So it's, you know, and they're typically very affordable. So the first one here, I reviewed on my channel, Kim Ji-young, born 1982. Again, this film with Yumi Jung in the lead role, and then Yu Gong Both of them were in Train to Busan and Silenced, so it's this is like at least their third collaboration. And this film is basically about a woman who's like in her 30s, and she wants to do some stuff. And there's certain things that are almost coercing her not to, like societal norms and expectations of a woman in her 30s who has a husband and child. And then there's other women in the film that are telling her not to do the stuff that she wants to do with her life. So it's pretty interesting kind of viewing, a very realistic film, I think, of what the typical, married mother in her 30s will go through, if she wants to do some stuff outside of her house. So it's a pretty solid flick. Good performances across the board. I reviewed both of these films on my channel. Train to Busan and Peninsula double feature. Again, this is the all-region Malaysian release. I wanted to watch Peninsula before it was released in America on physical media. And so that gets a release on November 24th, which I think will be right around the time this video gets released. Or maybe it'll be before this. But in any case, I didn't want to wait. And everyone else has already seen Peninsula, because everyone else either saw it in theaters or purchased it digitally. So yeah, I have reviews of both of these up. Obviously, Train to Busan is way better than Peninsula is. So check out my review of Peninsula if you want a, discussion on it. These are zombie flicks, and I think Peninsula it's schlocky fun at times. There's some entertainment value to be had from it. But if you go into it expecting Train to Busan Part 2, which is how they marketed it, it's going to be a disappointment. But again, I'll definitely watch Train to Busan more than Peninsula in the future, but I can see myself sitting through Peninsula a few more times. Alright, our last Korean film here. And it's a zombie film that is significantly better than Peninsula. Alive. I was glad to add this to my collection because it's a Netflix release in the US. And I was unable to find a Korean release, but it got a release in Malaysia. Very good movie. I mean, it's kind of a horror drama hybrid, and it focuses a lot more on the psychological impacts of someone who is trapped in an apartment during a zombie apocalypse. You know what I mean? It has more of that psychological vibe to it and more depth to it in terms of character. You have some really good actors in this. Again, check out my review if you want more details. But this is definitely worth watching. I would say watch this before you watch Peninsula. You know what I mean? It's the better film of the two. Alright, now we got some Japanese flicks. This is one I had to add it to my collection because I remember it being entertaining. And a lot of times I'll buy movies that I feel like rewatching. If I watch a movie and I like it, but I don't feel like rewatching it, I'm not going to add it to my collection usually. But this one, I'm getting the itch to rewatch. Death Trance with Taksakaguchi. Yes, Tak. Again, it's American release. Now this one has a making of and a trailer, and that's it. But Tak is, let me read the back. In an unknown place, an unknown time, a lone samurai known only as Grave, played by Tak, thirsts for the ultimate battle. So he steals a mysterious coffin from a holy temple. The coffin is known to contain a great power, the goddess of destruction. So he's dragging this thing around. It almost kind of has like a Django type feel to it, I guess, a little bit at times. But, yeah, and he fights a bunch of dudes. That's basically the plot. But this movie is pretty neat. It's got, it has a little bit of a horror vibe to it. There's this little girl who tags along with Tak, and she's kind of creepy. She creeped me out. But, yeah, if you're in the mood for something unique, it's kind of a unique action flick in terms of the choreography, and the guys he fights have, weird clothing and weapons and stuff. So it's definitely worth a watch. Alright, our next two films here. I was planning on doing a video for both of these films. After I watched them, I don't know, I didn't really feel like doing a separate review of them. Maybe it's because they're really not that great, and they're just kind of pretty good action films. You know what I mean? If something's like in the middle, I tend to not be motivated to review it. It either has to be like good or very good or bad. Something that's like mediocre, it's hard to like review it, right? But I'll show them to you. You have High Kick Girl and Karate Girl. Now, both of these star Rina Takeda, who I'm actually a pretty big fan of. So, at the very least, these films made me a big fan of hers, and some of her subsequent films as well. The problem is that the directors, I don't even know if it's the same director or not. It's the same, who directed this? Yoshihiro Kimura? Who directed this? No, different guys, but they both made mistakes, especially High Kick Girl. Now, High Kick Girl, I think, was her first film. And, Rina Takeda, real-life black belt in karate, multi-level, so she's no joke. And, real basic plot, but, the film starts off well. The first half, I'd say, is pretty solid. The problem is that, especially the second half, this director was so obsessed with slow motion, and not just slow motion, super slow motion. I mean, it's like sometimes he'll show a scene, like a quick fighting move, in slow motion, and then he'll replay it in super slow motion. You're like, dude, can we move on to the next the next move? He just abuses slow motion, and it's a problem for this film. And you didn't need it. This girl's so fast and precise with her moves, you want to see it in real time. And this guy's putzing around with all this slow motion crap. So there's problems with this movie. And also she becomes almost like a damsel in distress at certain parts. You're like, I don't know what this director was thinking, But there are enough positives to this to make it kind of worth watching. Her and her moves, there's some pretty cool stuff to see her doing this. She has a good screen presence, and I do occasionally watch this because it does have some cool stuff in it, but you just think about what they could have had with this. And this has marred this actress's entire career. I pray that Gareth Evans gets her in one of his movies, or Timo Tjahjanto gets her in one of his movies. Because for some reason Japan is very good at samurai action flicks, right? Swordplay action flicks, and an occasional other type of action flick. But I don't understand why they don't bother to tap and properly execute contemporary urban action movies. I don't understand what the problem is, why they don't do them. A few come to mind, like Security Police, the motion picture from 2010. That was a cool flick. It had, with Junichi Okada. They had some cool fights, and that's the type of stuff I want to see. But they don't make a lot of movies like that, and I have no idea why. I mean, do Japanese people just not want to see? Try to think of, a contemporary Japanese action film about a cop who uses martial arts to take dudes down. I have trouble thinking of any. Which is ridiculous, And they just don't make a lot of them, and I don't know why. They're cheap films to make. You don't have to set them in Tokyo. Set them in some random city. It doesn't matter. Have a dude beat dudes up, right? I don't know. It's just weird. So then you have Karate Girl. This film is more even in its execution, but it doesn't reach the heights of High Kick Girl like during the first half. But it also doesn't tank like High Kick Girl does during its slow motion shots or scenes. So, I don't know. As an overall film, it's probably a little bit better overall. But again, still a little bit disappointing in how the action is executed. There is some good stuff, though. Like I said, there is some good stuff in both of these. They're not terrible movies. They're just, when you see this actress, you know that she could do stuff. And they just don't give her quite enough to take the film to the next level, right? But still, both of these are, I wouldn't strongly recommend them. But if you want to check out some films with a leading lady who could kick some butt, check them out. Just don't go in with high expectations. Another film I reviewed on my channel, Hana and Alice. Just reviewed it recently. Shunji Iwai directed film, Yu Aoi in the lead. Check it out. I mean, that's all I could tell you. I don't know what release this is. It looks like it's a Korean release, but it's all region. I think this is the Korean release. Region... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It is Region 3. This is a Region 3 Korean release with English subs. And it has a bonus disc that I actually did not check out. So I'm not sure if it has English subtitles. I should have at least checked it out. But yeah, you get a 2-disc set in this. One with the special features and then one with the film. So it might be interesting to watch the special features even if it doesn't have subs. But I have not done that yet. But yeah, Yu Aoi, this is worth watching for her performance alone. She's phenomenal in it. Really good. And, check out my review if you want more info. This is another big one for me. Limited edition, only 1,000 copies. Gemini. Filmed by Shinya Tsukamoto. This is one of my favorites of his entire filmography. And that's saying something. It's a film from 1999, and this is the Mondo Macabro Blu-ray release. I like the red case. I like it when Blu-rays do different cases. Like The Night Comes For Us had a black case, and this one has a red case. It's pretty sweet. And check out my review. I reviewed it. If you want details on the film. This is a booklet by Tom S., a making of Gemini directed by Takashi Miike, Venice premiere featurette, makeup demonstrations, behind the scenes, etc. Some previews. Doesn't have a commentary on it. It does not have a commentary, but that's okay. If you've not seen Gemini, I strongly recommend it. I recommend almost any Tsukamoto film. I mean, most of his films are worth watching, even the ones that you're not going to like. You're probably going to remember it. And, if you want you check out my reviews or check out the Solid Metal Nightmares video that I did where I talk a little bit about his career and my thoughts of him as a director. He's my favorite director of all time. And again, there were only 1,000 copies. I got copy 836. Alright, here's another unique Japanese film. I reviewed it on my channel. Little Zombies. Now this one was tough to find. I think I bought this on CD Japan, and I think this is the Japanese DVD. It's a Region 2, but it has English subtitles, which is kind of rare for a Japanese release. So if you want to buy this, just double check it, when you buy it. Make sure it says English subtitles on it, on its description. But yeah, this is a really good film, kind of a coming-of-age film involving 4 kind of oddball little kids who are kind of lethargic and unemotional in the things that happen in their lives. But it's really interesting, very visually different. This is one of the most visually creative films I've seen in a while, and it's worth watching for that alone. This is a director to look out for in the future, as I say in my review. So I'm glad I have this in my collection now. All right. Now, I gotta be honest, this is TV shows coming up. I am not that familiar with Ultraman. I'm not. I've seen clips of it, you know what I mean, here and there. I've never sat down and watched an entire season of Ultraman. Now, Mill Creek has recently, over the past year or so, released a bunch, like half a dozen seasons of Ultraman. And I was like, hey, I hear people talk about it all the time. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should take the deep dive. So I did. And I purchased the first season, which is known as Ultra Q. Now, Ultra Q does not have Ultraman in it. Remember, Ultraman is like the dude in like the silver suit, and he fights monsters and stuff. This does not have him. This is more like the first season was more like a Twilight Zone meets Monster of the Week. So you'll have like weird phenomena, and then usually a giant monster will show up at some point in each episode, and the people need to figure out a way to defeat it. This is actually more creative than you might expect. I mean, it's got some sci-fi elements to it, horror elements to it. Look at these nutty freaking creatures. And it's entertaining stuff. I was almost surprised at how entertaining this is. Look at this guy. I mean, this is just insane. Like, for fans of kaiju films, and especially like the Showa era of Godzilla films, this is just, it's definitely worth a watch. Now, the show itself, I think I remember, was in black and white, though, so all this color you're seeing ain't going to come through in the film, but it's cool. And you have a little booklet here. So, yes, so I definitely was satisfied with this series. It was pretty neat. It's something I'll definitely watch again. Now, I also purchased, and I won't show you it because I have it on a different table. I purchased the first season of Ultraman, which is the second season of this Ultra Q type thing. So after the first season, it's no longer Ultra Q, it's Ultraman for like every season after, and you have the Ultraman dude in it. And I have watched most of it, but I purchased the DVD set. I cheaped out. You know, I found it real cheap on eBay. And the DVD set, it's got like little glitches in it. It doesn't have the right episode lists on the discs. So I got a little annoyed with that. So I'm probably going to buy the Mill Creek versions of all the Ultraman seasons, because that's the version that you really should get, the Blu-ray releases. But Ultraman's freaking entertaining too. I mean, it's just, some of the episodes are so much monster fighting, it's just insanely entertaining. And there's some really crazy stuff. I mean, Ultra Q has one episode called Baron Spider that's kind of a callback to the Hammer films from, you know, back in the day. And Ultraman has some monsters that'll just have you laughing. And it's just the whole premise of Ultraman. You basically have a guy, and this is what makes it different from a typical kaiju film outside of this franchise, is a lot of times you have big monsters fighting each other, right? Whereas Ultraman, you basically have a dude. He's basically a big sized dude who's like, you know, punching monsters in the face, you know, jumping on top of their backs, giving them like headlocks. It's just ridiculous. And if you're a fan of monster flicks, especially the Showa era Godzilla stuff, you got to check it out. And I'm definitely going to watch as many of the other seasons as I can. It's good stuff. So funny at times, too. Now, this is one, again, I'm not that familiar with Super Sentai. You know what I mean? Which is in kind of like the same type of genre as Ultraman. So I did some research online. I wanted to find one that was good. So I got the Malaysian release, 51 episodes and 2 movies of Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, which is apparently one of the better versions or seasons of this type of thing. So I look forward to checking this out. I can't really see much of anything, but yeah, there's just something. I don't know why it took me so long to just kind of get into this. I'm not really sure. It's kind of odd. But actually, some of these are recent releases, though. I mean, you didn't have sets like this for Ultraman back in the 2000s or even the 2010s. This is very recent, like high-class releases of this stuff. So that's probably why. Alright. A Japanese... It is a television series, kind of, I think, right? I always get confused if something's made for television or video, but Tales of Terror from Tokyo and all over Japan. These are the Japanese horror anthologies where each segment's like 5 minutes. And I have seen all of these. I rented them, I think, from Netflix back in the day. But again, when I get the itch to want to rewatch something, I'm like, well, you know, and if I really want to rewatch it again this badly, I'm going to add it to my collection because it just makes sense. So again, you get, it's like 5 DVDs and it's over 500 minutes. 500 minutes. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I look forward to watching this. This also includes the related film as well as a TV show. So, again, if you want spooky, fun, little supernatural horror shorts, I mean, you could have a ball with this. I mean, goodness, how many nights could you spend watching this? You know, get some sake. Have a ball. All right, here's another big one. Hanagatami. Directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. Very good movie. I have a separate review of this, you know, on my channel. I was going in with a little bit of trepidation because I saw Labyrinth of Cinema, which I really did not like. Check out my Japan Cuts Massive video for my thoughts on that one. So I was like, oh no, is this one not going to be good? Because it's like his second last film, right? But this was really good. It was actually very good. And it gets some special features, as you can see on the back. You get a interview with the director and a making of. And I did see the special features on this, and it's really cool. You know, how like the town got together and did like help the director out because Obayashi was sick at the time. You know, he had cancer, I believe. And they needed a rallying of his fellow like filmmakers that were on his crew in the town and everything to showcase their culture. So it's pretty neat. And this film is just, check out my review. Obayashi is a director you watch to see stuff you've never seen before, right? And it's always neat to see stuff that that has no equivalent elsewhere. Last Japanese movie, Samurai Marathon. I also have a review of this film on my channel. And I really enjoyed this. This is a film that's, as I said in my review, it's kind of hard to recommend for any one thing. Because it's not really going to scratch your action itch, even though it's kind of an action movie. More of kind of like a thriller action hybrid. You know, it's about a bunch of samurai who run a marathon because their lord tells them to kind of whip them into shape or whatever. But there's actual assassination attempts. And this actually has black humor in it, which will throw people off. And it kind of comes out of nowhere, out of left field. But I kind of liked it. So you got some good stuff in here. Check out my review for a more... get a better idea of what I'm talking about. And when you look up the director, you'll have no idea the director would ever direct a film like this, because he's not even a Japanese guy, and he directed like a classic American horror film from like the 90s or something, and now he's doing like this Japanese movie. So it's kind of, he brings a little bit of a different flavor to it. All right, we're on the final stretch here, our final 4 films. Now, all 4 of these movies are Indonesian films, cult Indonesian films. This is why I kind of saved them to the end, because they're kind of their own batch, and they're all Mondo Macabre releases. And I'm like, you know what? I get like this desire to rewatch these cult films from the 70s, especially if they're loony and you hear about them, because you've probably heard about at least 2 of these movies fairly frequently, I would say, from people online, because they're kind of classic, cheesy cult films. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do a run. I'm going to buy a few of them on Mondo Macabre's website, add them to my collection. Lady Terminator. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. First she mates, then she terminates. Wow, that's a terrible line, but it's so funny, right? So, is this a ripoff of Terminator? Yeah, but it's not a direct ripoff. Listen to the plot if you don't believe me. So, a sexually rapacious Asian goddess known as the Queen of the South Sea possesses the body of a young female skin diver. It sounds like Terminator, right? Armed with an AK-47 and an endless supply of bullets, this murderous Lady Terminator takes to the streets on a revenge-filled rampage. This movie is entertaining. I mean, it has a nice pace to it. There's stuff that happens where you're like, wait, what? It's one of those. And it's fun. Documentary on Indonesian exploitation, production notes and filmographies, alternate scenes, a trailer, and previews. So if you've not seen Lady Terminator, check it out. I plan on doing separate reviews of all 4 of these movies on my channel at some point. Maybe within the next year. Mystics in Bali. I think I reviewed this in my Asian horror playlist. Another crazy flick. This is a horror film. It's, again, you just have to read the plot synopsis. It tells the story of a young woman, American woman, who goes to Asia in search of the secrets of ancient magic. She's already asking for trouble, right? One night in the forest, she encounters a female member of a terrifying cult of Liak. She agrees to become the Liak's disciple and begins to indulge in many strange and savage rites. So yes, this is, not a whole lot of special features, but, oh yeah. This is another one to check out. If you want something that's pretty crazy, check it out. I think even the Red Letter Media guys watch this one. So, I don't remember if they watched Lady Terminator or not. They may have. Now, this one I don't remember well, so I really want to watch it again. The Warrior. The Warrior. It stars 80s action hero Barry Prima. He plays Jaka Sembong, a kind of Robin Hood figure who possesses mystical powers. As a figurehead for his country's rebellion against oppressive invaders, Jaka is captured, tortured, and left for dead, but he returns, even more powerful than before. In desperation, the invaders resurrect an evil wizard and set him against Jaka in a fierce fight to the death. Yes. So this is just nutty, old school cult cinema here. And for some reason, I don't remember much of this film. I saw it a while back, but still, I remember certain stuff from Lady Terminator and Mystics in Bali. I don't really remember a lot about this one. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, because some people really put this up on a pedestal with these other films. So it'll be good. I feel like doing a marathon of those three, really, to be honest with you. Like one night, triple feature. And then we have Virgins from Hell. I rewatched this one fairly recently, and yeah, this is fun too. So it's you basically have this gang of girls who try to take out a dude who killed the leader's parents, and they get captured and put into a prison on this dude's like estate, and they try to escape, and that's your film. But it's a lot nuttier than the premise sounds. This is a 2-disc set, and on the second disc you get a 70-minute trailer compilation from the studio behind Virgins from Hell, and a documentary on Indonesian exploitation cinema, which may be different than the other one that we saw. So yeah, this movie, I think this is the film that has a scene with a snake in it. Just watch the scene with the snake, if I'm thinking of the right film. And also, this is the film where someone will shoot someone like 50 times, with a gun, and the person will be shot, and they'll be wavering, and then the person will run up and kick them in the head to finish them off, like the 50 bullets when it killed him in the first place. So this has got good stuff. It's good. So that's my little set for this video, and I'm gonna need to do a handful more videos like this to catch up. So yeah, some interesting stuff in here for sure. So I hope you look forward to a few more of these videos in the upcoming months. I like doing this type of video in the holiday season, the shopping season, to get you warmed up to add videos to your collection. And as always, I will see you next time.